Mendino would say, God, my life is your gift to me. And what I do with my life is my gift to you. There's actually a story of a man that goes into the afterlife, and they're giving him a tour of his new surroundings. And he sees a big building, just looks empty. It appears empty. It's like a warehouse, somewhat of a look, with no windows and only one door. He was so curious as to what that was. And so he said to the guy, he said, would you please show me? He says, well, we're not really supposed to do that because you're in the afterlife now. But I really, really want to know what it is. And so he goes inside, and there's all these boxes with bows on them. And the man said, what are these? And the guy said, these are all the gifts that God had given you that you never opened. These are all the talents and the gifts and everything that was yours to do, but you never saw them. You never unraveled them in that particular lifetime. You know, especially in recovery years, I've seen many people have an energy of detachment and somewhat separation from the Creator, in that they spend their lives saying, well, I would never trust God. Well, I just never would trust God. Based upon the life I've had, why would I want to trust God? And I wonder if they ever stop in a place of journaling and in a place of silent contemplation and ask oneself, why would God trust me? If I am the one that is called to deliver the gifts, if I am the one that has been chosen, because we're all chosen people, you see. That's why we've all agreed to be here right now on this planet and in the USA as unitics, because we've been chosen. So, first of all, know you've been chosen. Second of all, know that there's no getting out of it. And it's a lot more fun when you do it willingly. You know, often, sometimes on the blog, people will say comments on things I post about, you know, well, God's not a deity and a man upstairs, and, you know, you're making God seem more like a person. But for me, I'm more old school New Thought, meaning that I believe that God is impersonal, absolutely. Otherwise, it would be a chaotic world, and it's not. And God is personal to all who know Him. And so, what would the point be otherwise? If you're not living your life in a way of romance, if you're not living your life as Hafiz or Rumi, of this divine dance with the Creator of life, what's the point? If it's simply a theory up here, we don't go around just calling God a thing. How you doing, thing? No. Even though we know God's a principle, beyond personality, yes? Any more than you say to your parents, thank you for making the seed. Oh, I'm a seed. No. You say, thank you for giving me life. Oh my gosh, precious life. I am a human being. Wow, having this wonderful experience. So where do we come from? The one element that is the most important. And don't you love it? I do it every week. I say, now this is the most important. Last week it was. But this week, the most important is trust. It's trust. It's the most important element. It's what heals all woes. It's what brings a person to recognize their consciousness of wholeness rather than something that is flawed or inadequate. It's what makes all of us have the willingness to expand, or a young woman stand in front of a group and be willing to show who she is right now. That's called trust. Trust is the ability to let a prayer go. Trust is the ability to allow your children to grow. Trust is the ability to know that you are always right where you are supposed to be in the moment that you are there. That all comes from trust. Not head practice, but a delivering unto spirit that which we know. Look at us. We're still here in spite of ourselves. Really. Okay? I mean, we are here. I know some of your teenage years, but we won't talk about that. I see some of you doing elbow mysticism. One of my favorites is called The Autobiography of Life. And it says, chapter 1, I walk down the street, there's a hole in the street and I fall in it. Chapter 2, I walk down the street, there's a hole there again, I fall in it. Chapter 3, I walk down that same street, I see the hole, I fall in it anyway, but I get out quicker. Chapter 4, I walk down the same street, I walk around the hole. Chapter 5, I take a different street. Say that with me. I take a different street. Now I want you to think about that. And when you look at different situations in your life now, as you're moving through these 7 weeks and otherwise, ask yourself, how can I take a different street? Because many people say the same story in a different way and think it sounds more intelligent, but they're getting the same results. But it's just a dressed up way of saying the same old thing, right? Yes. And so to take a different street is to go an entirely different way together. A much bigger reality, a much open door of what is possible. Now some of you remember a thing called the record player. If you don't, Google it. Okay. But on this record it had a needle, yes? And if it had a scratch in it, every time you played your favorite song and you'd start it, you could even hold it. Remember, you'd hold it to see if you could kind of kickstart it to stay in its place and go right into that scratch, right? Well, that's what happens to some of us in our minds, is we have this flaw, this scat, there's this scratch in our past. And a new situation will come along, and before you know it, that needle goes right to an old pattern, right? I know you relate, because we all have it in our humanity. And so the quest is to eliminate the old pattern. To say, I'm not going there, I'm taking a different street. Let's practice. I'm not going there, I'm taking a different street. And that can be very elevating. It can be very energizing. Stephen Covey would say in his greatest work, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that the best thing one can do is take time to plan what do they think about their lives. What kind of end in mind of life? What kind of gifts do you know God has for you? And how would you like to see them unravel? No one would just tell the carpenter and the builder or the construction person, I want a new home, all of you just come over and slap something together for me. Nobody would do that without a blueprint. And that's the part on the soul code that we learn how to connect and get in touch with through prayer and through meditation, is that we start to understand there is a blueprint for our lives. And when we flow with it, it is somewhat effortless, even though we might have to grow into new ways or new skills, but it doesn't have the struggle implied at the back end of it, right? And there's a statement that it's when people are unwilling to take the time to look at their lives, and they're unwilling to do the work, and they're unwilling to do the process. They spend their entire lives working on the process of what they were unwilling to do. I don't know what I said, but anyway. If you do, bless us. When we don't take the time to do something, we spend our lives doing the thing we don't want to do. And that's why the process of timeouts, it was the best thing we ever offered children, is take a timeout. And in our adulthood, we have a number of adults need to take a timeout. And to look at, where am I going? And from my multi-dimensional self, where am I? And is this where I want to be? And am I forcing my own plan, or am I doing the greater gifts that are awaiting me in all those presents and boxes with those? That's a strong question. In my own process, trusting has been a true growth point because I would try to deny that I was supposed to do ministry, and I would try to avoid that. I was in ministerial school, and I would ask the teachers, don't call on me, I'm terrified. The first 3 years that I taught science and mind classes, I used to stand before the class and pray that no one would show up for the class. Now that's messed up. Okay? Especially if that's how you're going to make your living. If you pray, I'd be so sweaty and everything. Oh, good. Nobody showed up. It would take me like a weekend. I had enough material to teach for a year for a little hour-and-a-half class. And I say that not to impress you, but to impress upon you that there are moments in your life that, yes, you take a different street. You surrender. This is my path. This is the way that I must go. This is my experience, and I'm going to go with it, and I'm going to roll with it, and I'm going to trust it. Trust. Trust opens the door. Lack of trust closes the door. Trust breathes it in and creates the children we dream of having. Trust creates the health we dream of being. It opens a bridge and creates a new way. Lack of trust creates rust. It just does. Rusty, woolly, squeaky wheel. So in that space, there's a famous football coach. His name is Mike Holmgren. Does that sound right? Holmgren, football people? Yeah, Holmgren. Okay. So he said when he was 11 that he made a conscious decision to always put God first. To always do that. And he said that then he got into football and wanted to become famous, wanted to become known. And he said his biggest jolt was when Joe Namath, Google it if you don't know, Joe Namath. He said that Joe Namath was chosen as first quarterback and he wasn't. And it brought him to his knees. And he realized that he had lost priorities and lost his way. And from that moment on, he said that he put God first, then family, and then football. In your life, where is the priority to the gift of being you? Where is that experience? I love the fact that in the material we're talking about Amazing Grace. I learned that from a traditional background, and I really didn't resonate with the song, even though it was pretty. But once I really researched the music and the song, by the way, research songs you sing, research things you will stand for, and make sure you know their roots and their heritage. Amazing Grace is a story about a man that took a different street. It isn't more complicated than that. John Newton kept going down the street and falling in the hole because he did not want to be a slave captain. It didn't even resonate with him. He didn't get it, but that's what his father did. And that's what his culture expected him to do, is that same old thing. And so he was on this ship, and they had an accident, and they feared for their lives. And from the moment of fearing for his life, he became alive. And he remembered the spiritualist tunes that the slaves were singing on the ship. And it brought him to write one of the greatest songs of our time, because he was talking about his sacred walk of life. It wasn't something that was to be used in tradition of you're weary and broken and everything and you need to be saved. It was about you need to save yourself from yourself. Because if you're feeling wretched, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling low, listen to the music that is calling your soul. Listen to the inner vibration that is pulling you to be you. It saved him, a wretch like him, so he could be free. Because he went on a new street that was the path of God's gifts that he had in store for him. Relate? In my book, When Did You Die? I give an exercise that if you haven't done it, please do it. It will change your life. Not because I said it, but someone told me to do it. I did it, and it transformed me to a whole different level. You take a day or two, a window of time, and you write down on small sheets of paper every event in your life that you've had that you consider a defining moment. Some may have pain implied. Some may be uncomfortable. Some, who knows what they are for you. But you write them down. chronological, this is the path of my life in my own perception. And when you finish that, then you go back and you really have a relationship with each event. And you ask that event, how did you shape me? How did you change me? How did you create me? How did you birth me to being more? And then you ask yourself, really? Would I want that to be taken out of my soul code life plan? Absolutely not. I've said it to many people in a class. You write down your problems, you throw them down on the floor, every one of you would almost knock each other down to get your own back. Why? Because it's your sacred friend. It's your sacred friend in that connection. You know, when you look at the translation in French, the measure of forgiveness, it's mesure de grace. The presence of grace, when we fundamentally look at the root of forgive, is the opportunity, the events that you see today that need to be forgiven are giving you the opportunity for you to grow into yourself. That's just the truth of who we are. They're shape-shifting moments of our lives. They make us stronger, they make us more willing, more courageous, and more prepared to be proactive in the world that we live in today. The one that we've been called right now to do this work for. That's why we're here. So in that space, be mindful of your GPS, like that on your phone or in your car. You have an end in mind, you put it into the data in, and the GPS will always take you where you've told it you want to go. It's your God personalized system. And if you take a different turn, what happens? It reroutes. It almost says, don't worry about a thing. You know, you are now going to go left instead. No concern. Now you're going to go here and you're going to go here. It always recalculates and redirects as to where you're going to go. And you can trust it because it will get you there. And it always does. And that is the truth for your life. And that is the truth for your street that you've been chosen to be on, of God's blessings and God's grace. Allow yourself to be totally trusting, and then you will see a world that you know you can trust. Thank you for being here.